Ladies and gentlemen, now today we're going to be having a bit of a chat about some of the stuff arriving in Marvel Contest of Champions in April, which took me by a little bit of a surprise, but the more I think about it, the more, it kind of makes sense, because initially looking at this year, I was predicting that April and May are going to be like a massive 2-month-long event for Avengers Endgame, but I think one of the big things surrounding Avengers Endgame, the plot is just such a mystery for a lot of people. We don't really know what's going to happen, we don't really know the extent of the characters that are going to be in it, and kind of what phases and cool stuff that they're going to have toward the end of the movie. So thinking about it kind of in relation to the secrecy level that Marvel have surrounding the plot, and also potential spoilers as well, I think it's much more likely that in May, we're going to see the start of maybe a 2-month-long Avengers Endgame event, and the first 2 characters are going to be maybe ones that are fairly obvious, like Ronin Hawkeye, and maybe like an upgraded version of like, I'm not really too sure for the second one, maybe Stormbreaker Thor as well, but potentially the second month might have some versions of characters that are a bit deeper in the plot, because then the movie will have been out for like a month and a half, so any kind of like big Marvel fans will have already seen it, and it won't really matter to a lot of people at that point if a character gets added to the game and kind of, is a little bit spoiling the ending of it, because the movie would have been out for so long for the fans. So I think that's maybe the way that they're going to do some of the Avengers Endgame stuff, but I think May is definitely going to be related to that, but also potentially June as well, I think might be a big month, and then kind of leading on from that, I think we're going to see Spider-Man, and then the third member of the Fantastic Four. However, today we do have a fairly pleasant surprise for April, and I'm really looking forward to this. So the brand new 2 characters are going to be Human Torch and also Annihilus as well. So I don't really know too much about Annihilus. I've done a little bit of research today. I'm going to talk about some of this character's abilities. He's kind of a big Fantastic Four villain, very powerful man in terms of his power levels, at least in the comics, seems to be really up there with some of the biggest titans of the MCU. So yeah, I'm really interested, man. There's a lot of potential for Annihilus, so that's the first thing, but Human Torch as well. I'm looking for like a balls to the walls incinerate champion with a lot of damage, a fair bit of utility as well, but I just want the Human Torch to be, an absolute wrecking ball. And I'm interested to see if with the Human Torch they're going to do something like Captain Marvel, where she has like a unignited state, her standard state, and her binary ignition state. I'm interested to see with Human Torch if they have kind of like a standard state and a flame-on state, or if he's always going to be ignited. I'm very interested to see the design there, because I kind of like Captain Marvel's design, and it would be crazy if like the Human Torch, like in his incinerate phase, was like super OP, like Captain Marvel is, but maybe, a few steps better as well. But still, I don't know, man, it depends. There are a lot of ways that they can do that character. So that's the first bit of news, man. Human Torch and also Annihilus are going to be coming next month, and also Annihilus is a bit rumored to be kind of like a further villain, like a bit deeper into the MCU, so that could, if like at the end of like Avengers Endgame, I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but there's a bit of a teaser of Annihilus, that could be like additional non-spoiler hype for a lot of people that, see that movie. So yeah, I'm not too sure, man. We're gonna have to see on that one. But yeah, Annihilus, now that especially Disney have acquired Fox, is a bit of potential for the MCU. So I'm very curious to see how they do him. Now, the next thing is that bounty missions are gonna return. So activate bounties so that your entire alliance can travel to the negative zone and face off against dangerous challenges to obtain valuable resources. Now, I think the last time we actually had bounty missions, to the best of my knowledge, and also looking through the archives of my channel, was actually about 17 months ago with the release of Thor Ragnarok. There were Merc missions with the Domino and Massacre event last year, but I don't think those were like the traditional bounty ones, because I couldn't find anything kind of related to that, and the Merc missions suck, man. They were just kind of a revamp of the Stark and Aunt Spider-Man ones. But again, this is 17 months ago that I think we had like the first iteration of bounty missions, and in terms of like difficulty, they were very quick and very easy to do. I think they had like a 6-hour time period where you could access the missions, and you went in, you chose one of 5 fights, whichever one was easiest for your roster, and then had a boss. So they were very quick to do, but they were triggered via your alliance via doing like certain events and only lasted for 6 hours. So you got like rewards for completing them, but also if everybody completed, I think it was like 15 people out of 30 completed them, the person who got the mission proc then got some form of bonus reward, like 100 extra shards or something like that. But again, this is a very, very long time ago, and it gave like 55-star shards 17 months ago, and that was a long time ago, man, for the game, so it wasn't the best rewards in the world, but I think we might see a bit of a further version, and I'm interested to see if they're going to be like structured a little bit differently, because bounties, I don't think like the absolute worst event that were ever in the game, but at the same time, they weren't the absolute best event either, but also with the structure of the Thor Ragnarok one as well, there was like this bonus currency, kind of similar to, you know, Nick Fury's Intel, Rocket's Scrap, whatever you want to call it. This one was really, really hyperinflated, so you got a lot of it, and you could use it to buy, you know, whatever additional rewards you wanted as well. So maybe if there's like an additional kind of like uncollected level difficulty or Cavalier difficulty that awards stuff like 6-star shards, tier 5 basic, these might be a little bit more exciting. So yeah, I'm not like super pessimistic about the bounty missions. I'm kind of like, you know, we don't really know much information about them. It's been a very, very long time since we've seen them in the game. They were all right. Hopefully they've kind of got an adjusted time window and substantially increased rewards, and if those two things are true, then bounty missions could be substantially more exciting, but it really depends how the whole month is structured as to like how good those missions are going to be. So yeah, I'm not like overly negative about those, even though they are in the negative zone. But yeah, I'm just kind of on the like, we'll wait and see what the revamp is, because they've, you know, changed a lot of stuff over time. So I'm curious to find out a little bit more about bounties there. And the next thing is there's going to be a second issue of Variant, back issue number 2, Mystery in the Micro Realm. Now, personally, I actually really, really like the first version of Variant. I think there are a lot of very interesting, very cool fights that aren't like overly BS in there. I will say that in the first issue of Variant as well, there are like a handful of fights that I believe are like complete BS, man. And especially when it came out, like the final like Ultron as well, with all that super fun shock damage was a little bit air, but I think so much strategy and so much tactics, and there are a lot of like different ways that you can build teams and setups to get through Variant at the moment. So I do believe for a lot of the fights, now that, you know, it's had a little bit of time to go on, there are a lot of counters for the current Variant, and I'm, you know, about halfway to 100% completing it on my free-to-play account as well. Had a very, very easy run once I kind of fully understood the strategy on my free-to-play account and kind of built a roster around that. 4-star champions were very, very useful, so I really don't hope that they go down the incredibly greedy route here and ban 4-star champions from this one. However, I think, you know, one of the most annoying things, at least for me in the first back issue, was all of the Ultrons, man. I hate fighting Ultrons. They absolutely suck. So let's have a little bit of a look. Going back, man, I was digging up all these Mystery in the Micro Realm videos to just see kind of like the thumbnails and who are the characters and who are the potential bosses in Mystery in the Micro Realms. So this is the first chapter. We've got kind of the Tech Adaptoid, the Mutant Adaptoid, and Magneto. So nobody that's like super BS or super annoying as the bosses in the very first chapter there. The second chapter, we've got a Science Adaptoid. I think this one is a little bit more annoying. I think it actually just has the fatigue debuffs there, so you know, might not be the worst in the world. Then we got Superior Iron Man, and also Yellow Jacket as the final boss of Chapter 2. And then the third chapter, man, seems to be like, you know, all of the Ultrons, but all of the Yellow Jackets. But if I had to pick one to fight, I'd much rather fight a stacked Yellow Jacket than a stacked Ultron. But you want to make sure, if you're gonna go into this variant, man, that you learn how to evade Yellow Jacket's special attacks, and that special one can be a little bit annoying. But it looks like it really is going to be a bit of a Yellow Jacket fiesta next month. So yeah, that is a little bit of an interesting one, but I'm very curious to see what the rewards are going to be for the second issue of Variant, because I think one of the things that they did really well on the first Variant was make it very much worth your time. Like, there's a crazy amount of resources via the rank up gems, getting that second rank 5 character, so if the rewards are equal to or greater than the first back issue, then I think it's going to be a really good piece of content. So I'm very curious to see the difficulty of this one. There's maybe a chance it could be easier than the first one as well, so I'm not really too sure. But yeah, back issue number 2. I am very much looking forward to it. Now, one thing I wanted to have a bit of a chat about is the gifting badges update, and I think the way that Kabam have handled this is like really, really poor. The compensation super, super weak as well, because a lot of people have just, chucked $30 on the game so they can gift like an alliance member, like an energy refill, a revive, just, send a few things about here and there as a bit of a gesture of goodwill. But also playing devil's advocate, I do understand from Kabam's perspective why they've had to remove this gifting badge from the game, and that's mainly due to the rise, and if you're in the beginner bracket, you've probably seen this in your arena leaderboards, of arena bots, and this has been an issue that's been plaguing the game for quite some time. And what certain people are doing is they get loads of like really, really cheap laptops, and they'll have like a very simple script which they've put together, which can basically like play the game and farm arena for them. So I've seen pictures of people like just chilling on a bed, and they're surrounded by like 10-15 laptops, and all of the laptops are constantly going on this script to just do arena like over and over again. So all of those laptops are constantly like farming in units, and then they'll get to a certain amount of units, let's say, like $1,000, $2,000 worth, and then they'll buy the gifting badge on that one, and then they'll send over and sell all of the units worth of stuff at like a discounted price. So they're making like a large stack of profit from it. And this is something, man, it's definitely shady, man. And what I've learned in the last 48 hours as well is that an individual in my alliance has been involved in this, so that really does suck, man. I'm a little bit disappointed, but the thing is, I just want to stay out of the drama, man, and some people are bringing my name into the drama. I always buy my units full price. I have the glorious privilege of paying those full UK Apple prices, but at the same time, I run this all as a business as well. I expense all of my units, because that's the fun of being a professional YouTuber. We spend a lot of money on the game, we use that money to make more money. So if anybody's ever calling me out about that, I've got all of the receipts, all of the proof, all of the information for all of my purchases. I'm not involved in any of that shady shit, so please keep my name out of the videos, man. That'd be really much appreciated. And you know who you are if you're probably watching to this point. But yeah, man. So playing devil's advocate, I don't blame Kabam for cracking down on this as a business, because there were, an increasing amount of people that seemed to be starting up like arena bot farms and doing all the shady shit, and it was hurtful for beginners, it's hurtful for Kabam's business. So yeah, I understand it, man. Like, it makes sense, but I think the compensation and the way that Kabam have handled it, you can see it's just weak, man. It should have been at least 850 units, and maybe like a small stack of items as well. I think the 300 units was just a very like cheap and quick way to dismiss it. So yeah, not very impressed about that whole scenario. Now that we've had that super fun chat, let's have a quick talk about Annihilus and potentially some of the abilities that we might see on this character. So he can fly, he can withstand the vacuum of space, he also has some sort of insectoid exoskeleton, which has high resistance to most forms of injury. So this includes extreme temperatures, potentially like incinerate resistance there, ballistic force, bullets, so maybe bleed immunity as well. He also wields the cosmic control rod, which is a weapon of great power. It allows him to manipulate cosmic energy in order to change the molecular structure of matter, so that seems, pretty good, man. Pretty good. He also has virtual immortality as well, so I'm interested to see if he's going to have some form of like full immunity or maybe regeneration or something like that. So I'm a little bit curious about that one and exactly how that's going to translate into the champion's abilities. But also potentially some of the time he has energy pistols based on Tianan technology that he has modified. So those could be some cool weapons, man. But the cosmic control rod seems pretty damn OP. But he's proved to be a very formidable opponent as well, and has been able to defeat Thing, Thor, Nova Prime, Quasar, and Blastar as well. I don't really know too much about kind of the final two there, but I know Thing and Thor, and especially Nova as well, are pretty OP characters. So, got some decent power levels, man, but still, champions with the power of a million suns like our boy Sentry, he's not slinging too much damage about. So, I'm not really too sure about that, and how formidable this lad's going to be. But overall, Annihilus seems like he's got, you know, a lot of really, really good foundational abilities that could translate into him being a very diverse character with a lot of utility, hopefully a lot of damage as well. So I'm very curious to see how this lad shapes up. But he's definitely worth, you know, having a little bit of a read into, because he's a very interesting one, and hopefully I'm going to find out a little bit more about this champion as the month goes on. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your predictions for Human Torch and Annihilus in the comment section below. But aside from that, man, I'm really looking forward to next month. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Hopefully the bounties are a little bit more exciting than we've seen in the past, and hopefully they revamp those up a little bit. But I'm very excited for the second issue of Variant, very excited for Human Torch, and also Annihilus as well. And I think that toward the end of the month, maybe the third Wednesday, because I think that coincides with the week that Avengers Endgame is going to release. I think there's a very high chance of us seeing like a Captain Marvel Champions Clash style challenge to celebrate the launch of that movie as well. Maybe with some sort of celebrity endorsement. We don't really know yet. So yeah, I think this is kind of just the tip of the iceberg in terms of stuff that we need to be expecting next month. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you did enjoy today's video, feel free to smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Aside from that, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.